Hi, folks. I remember the time when America was the shining city on a hill. Wasn't that long ago? Wasn't that long ago when we were the gold standard? You know, we were the leaders of the free world. We were the ones that people look to as an example, sparkling example of how a democracy should run. No more, at least not now. Not since Donald Trump has taken over the so-called leadership of America, even that is up for debate. Is it him or is it Elon Musk who, needs drugs to stay focused and, and give a damn about what's happening here? Elon doesn't give a damn about us or priorities, our priorities. He cares about his wallet. He cares about making himself even more uh, insanely wealthy at our expense. There have been some moments just in the past 70 odd days where you scratch your head and like, what the hell is going on? Does anything even matter anymore? Like to call what we are witnessing a shit show is severely underplaying what is happening. Um, it seems just like a whole lot of unforced errors. Sometimes it seems intentional. It seems like this guy is intentionally trying to burn everything down for no good reason. Or maybe he does have a reason. We're going to get into that. But yeah, I mean, I remember in his first term, the first time he came around, uh, every week there was a different controversy, a different scandal. And then what did he do? He'd just whip up another scandal to cover up the last scandal. So last week's scandal and the week before that, the scandals were Signalgate. How did a random reporter end up sitting in on a top secret uh, chat between national security officials? How did that happen? That's insane. And this week is no different. This week is it's big, and this was planned. Actually, this was planned. The basically the detonation of trillions of dollars of wealth of Americans. It's something to behold. So, yeah, we got some things to get into, and we are going to get into them. Are you ready? I am. Let's go. Story time. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Happy Friday, guys, and welcome to another show. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. It's funny. Last week was a was a really rough week for me, despite the fact that you did see me. I was for the first half of the last week, I was sick. I didn't have COVID, but it sure did feel like COVID. I was tested. Did not have the Rona, but yeah, I was sick, and then I had like this severe lower back pain that I just could not shake, right? It's like severe. Not only was it lower back pain, but it felt like sciatica too, because it was going down my butt and down both the backs of both of my legs. So I'm not a fan, really, not a fan of chiropractors. Just not. Just never been a fan of them. But I was desperate. And so Sunday I went to the chiropractor and had an adjustment. And actually, strangely enough, it did seem to work. It did seem to give me some relief from that lower back and from the sciatica. And they instructed me to come back the next day for another adjustment. So I went, and the guy who adjusted me Sunday night was not there. So it was another dude, big dude, like very big. It was like just a big dude. And so they do this thing where they tell you to, to wrap your arms around yourself, and then they like, they like squeeze the shit out of you. They just like and you can hear like the air pop from your from in between your discs on your spine or whatever. But what I've neglected to do, like the guy who treated me the first night, he would tell me to exhale before he did that. The second guy, he was just like, "All right, you ready? Here we go." And I was like, "I'm holding my breath." It was probably a mistake, because now now my entire upper torso is like, it feels like somebody was beating me with a 2x4. So I'm now in pain, just in a different kind of pain. So that's my little bit of wine. I have no cheese to go with this wine. I just thought I would share that with you. Let me see who's here. I see Zelda is here at the top once again, followed by Bernadette. Bernadette is there at the top too. And Valerie G is here. Ness from Connecticut. Meredith Powell is here. Did I say Meredith Powell? Yes, I did. Jen Staley is here. Let's see. I did see someone talking about their SSDI check was missing. Mary Margaret Rachel is here. I'm sad to hear that that sort of stuff is already happening, but I'm not surprised, because they've reduced the resources that are available to the Social Security Department. Joanne Kennedy is here. This is like a non-existent tune. Mama AG. Roger Soko. Candace GT. Tracy M, aka Nurse Mitch, is here. Sandra from Paramount, California. Samantha Hawkins, Queen of the South, is here. Sandra Lee. The gang is all here. Okay, I'm having some trouble reading this. My contacts are failing me. If I missed you, I see a Cindy C. There she is. That's who I was looking for. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and get this show on track. If I missed you, please give me a chance to shout. Oh, the Trump Reaper. There she is. I see it now. And Olivia S. All right. So if I missed you later on, I will hit you up without a doubt. And so let's go ahead and get this started off with our stories of the day.
Stories of the day.
All right. So, as you surmised, the major story of the week, probably of the month, maybe even the year. And hey, Yasmila J, I see you there, my friend. The major story is the Trump tariffs were unleashed onto the globe Was it yesterday? It feels like such a long time ago. Um, it was Liberation Day. They liberated us from our monies. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And the stock markets, reacted accordingly. Yesterday, the Dow Jones closed at almost 1,700, and today the Dow Jones closed at over 2,200 points. It is, as my friend Meredith Powell says, this is in fucking sane. Exactly. That's what it is. Trump $5 million gold card. That's right. That came out too. What a stupid thing. Stupid. Because I mean, all right, so that $5 million gold card is meant for people who want to become a citizen. Just pay $5 million. That's all. Just $5 million. Most of us don't even know what $1 million looks like. Most people who come over here, you remember the poem on the Statue of Liberty, give me you're tired, you're poor. Most people coming here, they're not wealthy. So he's trying to shake the tree for like the wealthy migrants. And if they're that wealthy, why would they why on earth would they pay for citizenship here? It is now, America is now a shithole country. So why would you subject yourself to that? See, Laura Smith is here, and there's Michelle also. Okay, so let's see what else we have. We have this week we had a little bit of a Super Tuesday. Now, don't get me wrong. I know what Super Tuesday is. Super Tuesday is that day when in a presidential election year, when there's like a whole sweep of states that all get to vote and they participate in primaries, presidential primaries, et cetera, et cetera. But this Tuesday was pretty damn super, despite the fact that we lost not one, but two Florida House races. But we won one big Wisconsin Supreme Court race, and the other those two Florida races, we'll get into why that was important, an important victory, even though it was a loss. Stay with me. Brother Senator Cory Booker, man, I will never forget when this dude first appeared on the scene. When I think he was the mayor of New Jersey, and he was special back then. He's even more special right now. He not only did he break a long-standing record that was previously held by a reviled racist, Strom Thurmond, but he also did something even more important, which is he sparked a fire for the Democratic Party. And I just hope we can keep that fire stoked, keep it going. Jenny Rayner, I see you. And last but not least, Trump's tariffs is an absolute unmitigated disaster. It's only started, and a lot of the effects have not yet kicked in, but they will kick in. And when they do, it's going to be a real shit show. So before you forget, if this is your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. The like button, as you know, it looks like the thumbs up. Make sure you hit that, please. And thank you all. You may recall last week I had as my guest Isaiah Martin was here, who is running for the 18th Congressional District in Texas. And he's a brilliant young man. I'm really excited about him. And then my other guest from from the previous week before that, Olivia Juliana is running his campaign, and she contacted me and she was like, "Listen, we got these Magateers mugs. Can I send you one?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, send it to me." And on the Magateers mug, it says it like Isaiah Martin's name is on it. So if you get an opportunity, I'm pretty sure that should be on their website, and I actually still have it here. That's isaiahmartin.org. Support his candidacy if you're able to. Thank you very much. Also, earlier this week, I did write my latest Substack, one which I'm extremely proud of. I will say I am very proud of this one. I put a lot of time and thought and work into this. I'm very and Miss Stephanie Mitchell, which I know I saw Bernadette said I did very well on the show. Thank you for that, Bernadette. Stephanie Mitchell, excuse me, Stephanie Miller. Stephanie Miller apparently read my Substack, and yeah, it's really good. It's called "Is Trump Rigging the 2028 Election Right Under Our Noses?" I think you know the answer without even reading the article, but if you're able, I highly recommend you read it. From Russia to Musk's computers, here's how he might steal another election. There you go. So briefly, I'm going to go through some of the. I've watched so much damn TV this past week, especially is no different. But there's a show on Apple TV. I don't know if you guys have Apple TV, but if you do, there's a show called The Studio, and it stars Seth Rogen. You know Seth Rogen. He usually plays a stoner. He's got that raspy voice, and so he plays a guy who's recently elevated to the role of studio head, like the head of a movie producing studio in Hollywood, and funny things happen. I mean, I guess that's my overall synopsis of the show, aside from the fact that it is helmed by so many celebrities. So many celebrities are in this. Aside from him, you got can't remember her name, but she was the mom in Home Alone. Help me out here. Bryan Cranston, Olivia Wilde, damn it, Agatha, the woman who played Agatha all along, Ike Barinholtz, and so many other people. I mean, like this last week's episode, I saw Ron Howard was in it. It's like just a star-studded thing, and it's a look behind the scenes of like the real foul, shitty stuff that happens between movie producers and actors and people who are full of themselves. Catherine O'Hara, thank you so much. Thank you for that. Samantha Hawkins. And this is a movie that actually is not brand new. It's been out for a while. It's starring Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter. Mike Coulter played Luke Cage. Excellent actor, really good. And this movie is just called Plane. And actually, when I first saw it advertised a few years ago, I was like, it looks like a B movie. I couldn't be bothered to watch it. And then it was available to watch on Netflix. And holy shit, I wish I had watched it sooner. It's a great movie. It is a great, great action adventure movie. And it's basically, what's this guy? Gerard Butler plays a pilot whose plane goes down in like the South Pacific, somewhere near the Philippines, and they don't know exactly where they are, but it turns out where they've landed, they're like revolutionary, fighters in the jungle, and the passengers all get kidnapped, and so it's up to Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter, who plays an accused murderer who has army military experience. It's up to those two guys to save the passengers. I think there were about 30 passengers, to save them from these revolutionary military folks. Yeah, so it's a fascinating movie. So check it out if you're able to. Thank you so much. And what do we have? Some action here. Michael. Thank you, Sandra. I like to think MAGA is nicer than those people keying Teslas. Did we have a MAGA in here? Did I miss that? In any case, I see you guys are on top of it. Look, if MAGA is in here and is being respectful, I don't mind that at all. As long as they're not disrespecting people and making and making things difficult for other people to enjoy the show, you're welcome. Hang out, and Susan C, thank you for your kind donation. Thank you for that. Okay, so he says he's playing nice. So I'll take your word for it, really, until we have some mods, who will handle my light work if you bother anybody. That's all I'm saying. But welcome, Michael. All right. So yeah, that's from the movie. Okay, so let's get started with our stories of the day. And Kamala Harris is back in the public eye after a bit of a hiatus. We hadn't seen her for a while, which, it makes sense to me because that was a devastating loss. Any way you slice it, that would be hard to recover from, I think, if it was me, and granted, she only had 105 days to make up a shit ton of ground. Donald Trump had been running for president since he left office. She was assuming that she was going to be vice president to Biden in a second Biden term. So this was a big surprise, but she hit the ground running and she almost did it. Donald Trump he didn't even get 50% of the vote. He got barely 49%, and she had 48%. It was close. She came close, having only had that much time to catch up. So, no reason for her to keep her head down. So this picture here is from the campaign. You see her she's got a glow. She's got the glow of joy on her. And when we saw her yesterday, she did not have that glow. She was, a little down, but her message was one of hope. First of all, she said, not going to say I told you so, but honestly, next to Hillary Clinton, I can't think of anybody else who has earned more of a right to say I told you so, because she literally did tell us verbatim, almost like point by point by point by point during that debate in which she thrashed him. She told America what to expect from a Trump presidency, and thus far she hasn't been off. So anyway, in addition to saying she's not going to say she told us so, her message was that courage is contagious, and I agree with that. I absolutely agree. Sometimes, because she was also making a point that she said fear is contagious, but also the most important thing that she wanted people to take was that courage is contagious. And that means that it only takes one person to stand up and speak out. And, she was puzzled as to why these CEOs and corporate leaders are not saying anything. And it's It's puzzling unless you've been paying attention, right? And I'll share with you. I posted a tweet today. Let me share my screen here. Share screen, and let's go over here. No, that's not the screen I want to share. All right, let's go back here. Let me try that again. Hold on. Oh, I see what I did. I see what I did. Here, let's do that. Okay. So I shared a tweet earlier. Here. People keep wondering where the CEOs are, why they haven't stepped up to complain about the tariffs. Why would they? Trump has given them a rationale for jacking up prices the way they did when he fucked up the supply chain during COVID. And they just never decided to bring prices back down long after the supply chain was working again. Those CEOs of all the major corporations enjoyed higher profits in the past 5 years than ever before, all at the expense of the poor and middle class. A pair of sneakers that was $100 a pair on Monday will now go up to $140 because tariffs. But when the tariffs are removed, the prices will go down, sure, but not back down to $100. It'll only go down to $125. I hope everybody really fully understands that, because I feel like that is a point that has been lost on the American public going back to when Joe Biden was in office. People were thinking that they were going to get like $2 gas again. That ship has sailed. The only way we're getting $2 gas back is, God forbid, this country gets mired in another pandemic and everybody is frozen in place. Another, nobody travels anywhere, so the demand goes way down for gas, and that's why we had $2 gas. You got to understand, those prices are never going to come back down to where they were before. The smooth brains will say, ooh, Trump discount. But the rest of us know it was supposed to be $100. That is why the CEOs are fucking silent. They are about to make bigger profits than ever. And that's it, folks. I hope you know. Whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican, it doesn't matter. We really are all in the same boat, the exact same boat. Doesn't matter, unless you're a billionaire or a multimillionaire. Zelda, my friend, thank you so kindly. Thank you for your kind donation. We greatly appreciate you so much. Thank you for that. But yeah, unless you are insulated by your own wealth, you're going to be feeling the pain, and I love how the Republicans like to frame this as, it's patriotic to pay more. Like, what are you even talking about, bro? Anyway, I'm getting off track here. We're going to get into the whole tariffs thing. But Kamala Harris is absolutely right when she says courage is contagious. And I think we should take that and move forward in our resistance, our opposition to the Trump agenda. And as soon as I say that, let's get into what Cory Booker did on what day was that? Tuesday? Wednesday? I've lost track. It was amazing. If you don't know, Cory Booker broke the record for wasn't a filibuster, as I had incorrectly written on one of my tweets. It was more of a marathon speech, and the last time a speech was held that long was by Strom Thurmond in 1957. He opposed it's ironic. He opposed the Civil Rights Act of 1957. So he spoke for 24 hours. And like almost immediately after his marathon speech, that was a filibuster. They passed they passed the act. It was signed. They passed that bill. So it was all for nothing, but that record stood for all that time until this week. And I was surprised. The main thing I was surprised about, I think it was the main thing everybody was surprised about, was like this brother did not take a bathroom break. He did not take a bathroom break. He didn't poop. He didn't pee. So, in case you were wondering how he did it, he stopped eating on Friday. And I'm sorry, oh, you guys are like chatting while I'm going on. You're talking about Lucy. Congrats, Lucy, on selling your house. That's excellent news for you. Congrats to anybody who was able to sell anything moving forward. I think it's going to be a major feat, because money's going to be tight for a lot of people. So Cory Booker planned this out with his staff, that he was going to stop eating and that he was only going to ever so infrequently take sips of water. So it had to be Monday night that he started, and then Tuesday night is when he finished. And so he beat the record. It was 24 hours and 18 minutes. Strom Thurmond did. And Cory Booker ended up with like 25 hours and 5 minutes, something like that, which is a tremendous feat. And I just want to play a very small, short clip for you. What I loved about what he did wasn't just the fact that he broke a record. That's important. It wasn't just the fact that he broke the record of a person who opposed who opposed Cory Booker's right to even become a United States senator. He opposed that. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the fact that Cory Booker stood there and he didn't just read, green eggs and ham. He didn't read from the dictionary. Like, he was actually talking. Often it seemed like extemporaneously. He was just like going off the top of his head. Sometimes he was reading letters from his constituents, not just any letters, but letters of people expressing the kind of pain and suffering that they were feeling from actions being taken by the Trump administration. People who were worried about their Social Security checks and their Medicare and their Medicaid. Was a great, excellent speech. And so it wasn't just that. It was that what he did, I believe, sparked a fire and provided a bit of a blueprint for how we win in 2026 and beyond. So without further delay and ado, I would like to get back to the clip I wanted to share with you. Here we go. It's only a minute.
Letters with words like fear and terror. They're talking about staying up at night and not being able to sleep because they don't have a president that comforts them. They have a president that talks down to them, that lies about the services that they rely on. What is this? It is not normal.
The emotion.
It is not normal. This is America. How can the most powerful people in our land not comfort others, not tell them they have nothing to fear but fear itself, not tell them to have malice towards none but have charity towards all? What kind of man is in our White House that makes fun of the disabled, who lies so much that the fact checkers lose count, that minimizes the pain and the suffering We have cabinet secretaries that are billionaires themselves that say, if my mom misses a social security check, but if somebody else complains about it, they're probably a fraudster. These people are not fraudsters. They're hurting. They're afraid. They're worried. For God's sake, this is America. You can't lead the people if you can't love the people.
That was brilliant and beautiful. I love the emotion that she can hear in his voice, the passion. I also liked his mention of that absurd comment by billionaire Howard Lutnick, who said, I don't know if you guys remember this. He said that if his 94-year-old mother-in-law missed a social security check, she wouldn't be worried. Well, of course not. She's your mother-in-law, right? She's your wife's mother, and you're a billionaire. And if she misses a social security check, you got her, right? Right? Of course you do. But there are millions of old people out there who don't have it, who will not be covered, who don't have a husband or a son-in-law who is independently wealthy. You know, back in the day when the Social Security checks first came about, old people, seniors, were eating cat food. They were eating cat food because they could not afford to buy regular food. Cat food was way cheap, and that's what they were doing to survive. And President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, aka FDR, came up with Social Security, came up with Medicare and Medicaid and all that good stuff, stuff that, you know, Republicans have not stopped trying to take away from the American people, that safety, that social safety net. There's a lot of people who look down on folks who need Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. Why would you look down on something that we have all been contributing to since we started to work? Whether we liked it or not, we didn't have a choice in the matter. It's not like they asked, hey, do you want to contribute, you know, every week to this Social Security thing? Because if we knew that Republicans were going to try to take our fund after 40 or 50 years of working, we'd have been like, nah, you know what? I'll take my money now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Anyway, Senator Booker's speech was an achievement, and I hope that going forward we keep that fire stoked. And it's not going to be, you know, every week a different senator or congressperson making a long ass speech. You can't do that. But we got to be creative in the ways and means that we deliver our message to the American people. That's it. People were asking me, tweeting, saying, you know, okay, so what? What did he accomplish? What did he accomplish was he brought attention to these issues. That's it. He was able to break through the noise, right? Every week, Donald Trump has a myriad of scandals that keep these cable news shows fixated and transfixed. But Cory Booker, for 25 hours, was able to break through that noise with some real substantive content, stuff that American people actually care about. So this was a tremendous win, I feel. And, you know, let's see where it goes. And here's a shot of Senator Booker running to the bathroom when he was finished. It was great. This is a fun fact. Earlier this week, it was learned that Newsmax became more valuable than Fox after its shares surged 180%. That's hilarious. It's hilarious. And I'm going to share with you why I believe that happened. Marie from New Jersey says she's finally made alive. I could have sworn I've seen you. I feel like I've seen you quite a few times here. Of course, Marie from New Jersey. Here's why I think that stock surged, and it is because in recent weeks there have been some moments when Fox News hasn't been 100% in Trump's camp, when they let certain things, certain truths slip out, about whether it's his tariffs or it's his national security team, or any number of things. And so maybe he spoke to some of his friends and say, hey, do me a favor, buy up a bunch of shares of Newsmax, make their stock rise. I want to send a shot across the bow. Why do I say that? Because dun, 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 wait. Yeah, suddenly, almost as soon as we learned that Newsmax was more uh, uh, valuable than Fox, the shares plunged 80% after briefly being valued higher than Fox. Isn't that funny? It's hilarious. Uh, this is some bizarre news. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on. I don't even really know what to say. Laura Loomer, the first time I heard her name, she had chained herself to the doors of Twitter headquarters. And it's really weird. And then afterwards, she'd pop up as like a conspiracy theorist, believing in a whole slew of crazy conspiracies. And that includes, believing that some of the school shootings were staged, Anyway, she became very close to Donald Trump. So close that she could probably tell you right now if he is circumcised or not. So sorry for that one. But she became so close to him in his campaign that people were concerned, Republicans were concerned that she was too close and that she needed to be pushed away. She needed to be distanced from the campaign. And that is exactly what happened. They did distance her from the campaign. Despite that, now that he's in office and doesn't have to worry about appearances or whatever, he had her at the White House and she gave him advice to fire officials from the National Security Council. Isn't that bizarre? So this whole time, we are all scratching our heads and prognosticating about what the hell happened with this signal thing, this crazy thing, and not one person in Trump's orbit had the gravitas to pull his ear and say, Mr. Trump, you have to do something. Note, I didn't say President Trump. I said Mr. Trump. I saw, just briefly, very funny. Recently, I've seen a lot of articles coming out of the New York Times and the Washington Post that they don't address him as President Trump. They call him Mr. Trump. And I think that's hilarious because, he loves being called president. Anyway, so go figure. Are they going to elevate her to national security advisor? Is she going to be a co-national security, national intelligence director alongside Tulsi Gabbard? That makes as much sense. It makes just as much sense as Tulsi Gabbard being in there, or as much sense as what's that crazy Kristi Noem, puppy killer, as her being cosplay Homeland Homeland director. Crazy. It's a clown show indeed, Tracy M. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Republicans win twice in Florida. Yeah, okay. So this was the Super Tuesday thing. This was a very big deal because it came the same night, actually, that that Cory Booker completed his marathon speech. So yeah, we lost in those two districts. I think it was Florida District 1 and District 6. And those two districts were like plus 33 for Trump and plus 37 for Trump. Well, when the final tally came in, they only lost by 14 points. So you're going to say, well, what's the difference, Brooklyn Dad? They still lost, right? Yeah, sure, they lost. But they cut those margins more than in half. More than half. And that should be a major concern, not just for Donald Trump. It should be a major concern for the entire Republican Party, because there are some places, some districts where Trump only won by, 5 points, where it was much tighter. And, what happens to the Republicans in those districts? Suddenly, because of the shit show that this administration has been for the past 70 plus days, now what is like a solidly red district now becomes competitive. So that is why I think, you don't focus on the fact that we lost those two districts. We never thought we were going to win. Never did. We spent a lot of money. We did spend, I think, $20 million combined for both of those districts. But the message is that we can win. Brother, we can win. Yeah. And in addition to that, major win. This one I loved so much. I can't tell you. Well, actually, I can tell you the last time I cared about a Wisconsin Supreme Court race was Janet. I always butcher her last name. It's like Protesewicz. Sorry. It was Judge Janet. She that's the last time I cared about a Wisconsin Supreme Court race. But prior to that, I didn't ever in my life care about a Wisconsin Supreme Court race. But this had bigger implications. If you listen to Elon Musk said that it had, the future of humanity. The future of humanity depends on the outcome of this race. Like, he made it seem like it's life or death. And he spent $25 million, $25 million, and he lost all that money, which, by the way, he's not hurting for it. This brother could leave $100 million by accident, leave it in a taxi cab and sleep like a baby. Think about that. Think what is $100 million to the guy who has $360 billion? It's nothing. So 25 million is nothing, but it's still something, because he spent all that money just to lose. He didn't just do that. He tried to use his money to bribe people. Spent $1 million. He gave out $2 million checks, one of which went to like the Republican head of something, head of marketing research or some shit. And in addition to that, he had the audacity to go out there wearing a cheese head. He wore a cheese head and thought that he could get away with that shit. Wisconsinites, they don't play that shit. I think you could be a tourist, right? And come to Wisconsin and you get a cheesehead and go to a football game, and they'll have a good laugh, et cetera, et cetera. But if you put that shit on and try to, you know, try to pretend like you are one of them, you try to pull the wool over somebody's eyes and say, "Look at me, I got a cheesehead. Now I'm one of you." No, 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 brother. That's like that would be as stupid as going to Jamaica and putting on, a big Rasta hat and some fake dreads. It's the same thing. It's ridiculous. And so Wisconsin let them know how they felt about it. They didn't like it. They didn't like it one bit. So I'm going to briefly share with you, my friends, another clip that I enjoyed. It was this one from Judge Susan Crawford.
It was a great community where people watched out for each other. And my experiences growing up in small town Wisconsin shaped me into the person that I am today. Someone who values hard work, common sense, honesty, and who can tell right from wrong. Someone who watches out for people. But I've got to tell you, as a little girl growing up in Chippewa Falls, I never could have imagined that I'd be taking on the richest man in the world. For justice in Wisconsin. And we won.
That's right. Took on the richest man in the world for justice in Wisconsin, and she won. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. So let's see what else we have here. Okay, let's dive into the unforced error, the as depicted in this picture here. Yes, doctor, he shot himself in the foot on purpose. It's a guy wearing the American flag as a shirt and shorts, and he's got a bloody foot there. Excuse me. Donald Trump called yesterday Liberation Day, which really never made sense to me, other than it's like he was trying to make something that was really bad into something that, it was really good. He tried to do some old Jedi mind trick. And I think probably only the most diehard Trump fans. I don't mean the average Trump. I think there are Trump supporters who are not completely smooth-brained. I think there are some that do have critical thinking, and they made a decision. They made a decision to vote for Trump because they sincerely believed that he was going to fix the economy, that he was going to not so much address immigration, but address the border, and that the border had them concernicus, because all these immigrants are coming in here and raping and killing, even though the ratio of rapes and murders committed by undocumented immigrants is way lower than the amount of rapes and murders committed by citizens, United States citizens. There's not even a comparison. The average person who comes here as an undocumented immigrant, they work hard. They contribute billions of dollars to Social Security that they will never have access to. Almost never. Maybe 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 might finally, get through the immigration process and have access to that Social Security money. But the majority of them will not. And they're trying to just keep their heads down and work hard and stay under the radar. Let me stay. I'm not trying to jeopardize my right to be here. Why do you, they believe that Republicans believe that these immigrants have gone through so many trials and tribulations just to get here to improve the lives of themselves and their children, to escape political violence and escape gang violence or whatever. They finally get here and they're building a nice life for themselves and their children and their spouse, and they're going to jeopardize it by illegally trying to vote. Make that make sense, because undocumented immigrants are not allowed to vote, no matter what the Republicans are trying to pitch. That is bullshit. It's absolute fiction. It's fantasy. And they do that the same way they use the trans issue as some kind of wedge thing to make it seem like there's a trans person hiding around every corner waiting to follow your daughter, your 5-year-old daughter, into a bathroom and just to peep at her, at her private parts. That was the insanity that they had, going. They made it seem like every school is full of boys who want to put on dresses so they can compete against girls in sports. It's absurd. There's not even 1% of America is trans. Not even 1%. Anyway, I get carried away with these things. So Trump's Liberation Day tariffs, they're going to affect cell phones, televisions, computers, toys, cars, clothing, shoes, wines and spirits, furniture, fruits and vegetables. So pretty much everything. Pretty much everything. There's some things that are probably not listed here. I saw a lot of people talking about the new, I want to say it's the Nintendo Switch. I don't stay up on these things, but I think the Nintendo Switch is one of those things that they were talking about. It was supposed to be like $450, which, by the way, if the Nintendo Switch is $450 and that was the expected price and it's going to go up to $600, my kids will just never be, because $450 is already way too freaking high. Are you kidding me? The Nintendo Switch, $450? It's not even I wouldn't pay that for the PlayStation 5. I waited till that shit came all the way down to $2. I think I got it for $250. Come on, man. That's crazy. I waited years for the PS5 price to come down. Anyway, and then he read off a list of countries that were going to be affected by these tariffs, which is basically all of them except for anyone. Can anyone tell me which countries were not affected by the tariffs? Go ahead. This is a participation thing. Let's see who can guess correctly. Yeah. Candace jumps out and said Russia. Michael says Israel. I don't know about that, actually. Can anyone confirm that was Israel on one? I know it was like, I don't think it was Israel, dude. I saw a list as Russia was one, and like Iran, North Korea, basically everybody who was allied with Russia was not in that list of yeah. See, Tracy M says North Korea. Marie says North Korea and Russia. Olive orange Assolini's grips were made in other countries. Yeah, so it's basically all of the uh, uh, friends and pals of Russia. So he was claiming that he wanted to impose these tariffs, to bring manufacturing back to America, which, on its surface, if you take it at face value, why wouldn't you want to bring manufacturing back to America, right? Sounds like a good deal, right? Sounds like, reasonable, except manufacturing, President Biden signed a bill to bring manufacturing jobs back to America. And he was successful in getting, I think, 800,000 manufacturing jobs back into America. But he didn't, have to impose these like very dramatic tariffs to achieve that, But if you're saying that that's one of the reasons you're doing it, and then you're imposing tariffs on an island, remote island not far from Antarctica that is uninhabited except for penguins. What the fuck are you doing, bro? What are you doing? What are you doing? More penguins than people. Trump imposes tariffs on remote islands. That just doesn't make any sense. Also doesn't make any sense if your tariffs are meant to reduce the flow of fentanyl, right? Also, again, I don't oppose reducing the flow of fentanyl, right? But if you're trying to scapegoat Canada only had 42 pounds of fentanyl passing through or attempting to pass through, right? Whereas Mexico had thousands of pounds or tons of fentanyl attempting to cross the border. So maybe don't scapegoat Canada. Don't, I think Donald Trump's issue with Canada was because Melania was busted lusting after Justin Trudeau. It's simple as that. You might think that's crazy, but I think it's true. I think it's true. He's petty like that. He's petty. He's small and petty. Why would he try to why would he wreak havoc on one of our closest neighbors just to settle a petty score? Because that's who he is. That's who he is. He's still, if you notice, when he talks about Ireland, he cannot help himself to talk about those windmills and how ugly they are and this and that and how they kill birds and etc. He is upset. He's still upset, going back well over a decade, that there was a rule. He lost a battle that they were allowed to have these windmills not far from his golf property over there. And he hated it because he didn't like how it looked in the background. So yeah, he's still pissed off about that. Oh, and the memes are flying. The memes are flowing. The penguin thing. Penguins threaten to send more fentanyl to the U.S. after new tariffs. And this one here, the penguin didn't even say thank you. This is the picture from Trump yelling at that little kid mowing the lawn. Pay the tariffs. We'll be taking our business elsewhere. Yeah. So these tariffs don't make any sense at all. You know, when manufacturing does come back here, a lot of those jobs that like those low paying manufacturing jobs, those are going to robotics. And don't take it from me, take it from Trump's own team. Who said that? I think it was Harold Lutnick said that. I wish I had brought the video. I don't have the video of that, but yeah, he said robotics are going to absorb those manufacturing jobs. As far as these prices coming down, that is what that is what I have. I saw a video today that had a very interesting take that this is like the devil's advocate. This is a person suggesting that maybe Trump's tariffs will not be a disaster. So I wanted to share this with you because I want you guys to see the stuff that I find, like we should be able to see a spectrum of thoughts and ideas. So let me pull that up now. He says Trump is purposely crashing the market. Check this out.
Trump is crashing the stock market by 20% this month, but he's doing it on purpose. And this is why Warren Buffett just said Trump is making the best economic moves he's seen in over 50 years. Now, here's the secret game he's playing, and it could make you rich. So why is he doing this? To push cash into treasuries, which forces the Fed to slash interest rates in May. And those lower rates give the Fed the ability to refinance trillions of debt very inexpensively. It also weakens the dollar and drops mortgage rates. Now, it's a wild chess move, but it's working. Now, you're probably wondering, what about his tariffs? Well, I'll tell you, it's a genius play. It actually forces companies to build here to dodge them. It also forces farmers to sell more of their products here in the US to bring grocery prices way down. We've already seen this with eggs. Now, remember, 94% of all stocks are owned only by 8% of Americans. So Trump, he's taking from the rich short term and handing it to the middle class through lower prices.
Now, that is one person out of many hundreds who disagree with that. That seems like about the most sunny forecast you could possibly get on what Trump is doing. I don't think Donald Trump has that level of guile in him. His best ideas have been ridiculous. Have been to coerce President Zelensky into supplying him with dirt on Joe Biden, to extort President Zelensky. His best ideas have been to stoke resentment amongst his base that eventually led to January 6th, the violent insurrection in which police officers were beaten with flagpoles and fire extinguishers, and over 1,500 people were convicted and jailed before they were eventually pardoned by him. So it seems that seems like a very optimistic, sunny view of what he's doing. I think I don't own any stocks, but I know that the stock market isn't just for people who own stocks. It's also for people who have 401ks. I also don't have a 401k anymore because when I was young and dumb, excuse me, I cashed out my 401k and spent it. So let that be a lesson to you youngins out there. Don't cash out your 401ks if you can help it. Keep that shit because you're going to need it when you're an old fart like me. Zelda wants to know, how much did he get paid to say that? That's a good question. I mean, he seemed very animated and excited about the idea. I don't know where he came up with that whole positive spin thing, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it one bit. What I do believe he is doing, I do believe he is intentionally tanking the market, because he is on record of having said back in, I want to say 2007, he's on record of watching the real estate bubble, collapse. And he said that he does much better in down markets, because that's when people have to sell. So they're selling because shit is failing. So he buys on the cheap. He buys the dip, so to speak. So he gets rich off of other people's pain. I guess somebody has to, and if you have the ability to do so, I mean, I can't. They say hate the what do they say? Don't hate the player, hate the game. If I had the ability to scoop up a bunch of properties on the cheap, as a result of people not being able to pay for them, I don't know. I think I might, to be perfectly honest, but at the end of the day, these are real people. These are real people with real families, real situations, and they shouldn't have to worry about their 401ks. They shouldn't have to worry about their Social Security check. They shouldn't have to worry about freaking Medicare or Medicaid. None of these things. This is all part of the social safety contract. It's a contract. So, Joanne Kennedy says, so he is manipulating the market for gain. Ain't that illegal if you incite it? I think it is, but you'd also have to be able to prove that too. And since he has effectively pushed everybody out of the DOJ who could potentially be a whistleblower or somebody who would, drop a dime on him, I think he feels like he can get away with whatever the hell. Like Pam Bondi. Have you guys seen how crazy Pam Bondi is? The Attorney General? Man, if Merrick Garland appeared on MSNBC a fraction of the times that Pam Bondi has been on Fox News as Trump's cheerleader, that's all she's doing is cheerleading. If Elon Musk was finding all of this fraud and abuse with Doge, you would think, billions and billions of dollars, you would think she'd be whipping out indictments the way some guy will whip out ones at a strip joint. Yeah. So I think we're in for a long, bumpy ride. I think every time Donald Trump stumbles, every time he does some stupid shit, every time he does some dicey, illegal, questionable shit, we have to call it out. We have to call it out loud and often. And we just have to, keep fighting a good fight. Because if we don't, who will? And Meredith Powell says, I'm freaking exhausted and it's only been 2 months. I hear you. And, we do have to, every once in a while, take time off. What I do, what I do is I take time off at night. That's why, I'm watching so many TV shows and movies, to relax my brain and chill out. Sometimes I also read comic books. I read a lot of comics. Yeah. And it's important to just take time away from the doom scrolling on your phone or watching CNN or MSNBC. Turn that shit off, relax. They say touch grass, take a walk, play with you. I I have 3 cats that give me an immense amount of joy, and our dog, who we love immensely. My kids. My daughter just got her first job. Oh, yeah, yeah, she just got her first job. So we're very proud of her initiative. And she, yeah, just live life. Don't take, take this stuff seriously, but don't let it become you. Don't let it sap you of your joy. Huh? Michael Marshall wants to know, I'm curious, how do you not have any stock? Well, Michael, I wasn't very financially educated when I was growing up. People who know me know that I've had a checkered past. A lot of my past involves addiction, drug addiction, and even though I'm now coming up on 20, this will be 22 years of sobriety. I didn't have the benefit of having anyone in my life who said, you know what, Majid, it would make a lot of sense for you to, put aside some money in stocks and bonds. Some people had that. I didn't, thankfully I've seen, our kids are getting that kind of financial, information in school now. Schools are promoting that. And thanks for the question, Michael. I appreciate it. So yeah, it is what it is, and I'm going to do the best I can going forward, to continue to provide for my family and keep this thing going. So, folks, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. um so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. What am I watching tonight? I'm not really sure. We have a bunch of TV shows we've been watching. Mobland is this new thing that came out with Tom Hardy, which is a really really great show, where Tom Hardy is like the fixer of this like mob in England, and I can't even tell you who the other. Oh, Pierce Brosnan is in this. Helen Mirren is in. This is some like major actors in this show, and it's great. It's really great. So if you got a chance to check that out, definitely check it out. And we're on the tail end of I think we have 1 or 2 episodes left of this other show, 1923, which is being produced by what's that guy? Taylor Sheridan. Taylor Sheridan is the guy who produced Yellowstone, and I think 1923 is a fantastic show. If you get a chance to watch that from season 1, it's great. So that's it, my friends. I look forward to seeing you here next week. Oh, and I might have a special guest next week, so make sure you tune in here, same time, same place. I love you all. Peace.